Well, hello, this is Coach John Oman. I'm the head coach of the Shakopee Mountain Bike Team. I'm going to be recording our presentation that we normally give at informational meeting nights, usually held at Shakopee East Middle School. This is intended for anybody that's brand new to the program that wants more information. You're curious about what it looks like to be on the team. We'll cover a number of topics here that people typically want to hear about when they're new to our sport. All right, so you can see in this opening slide here, our first year was in 2015. Our team looked about like that. We had about 15 people in that first year. 5 years later, our fifth season, we were up over 60 riders on our team. So we're proud of our growth and some of the things we've accomplished with our student athletes. I'm going to show you our highlight video from our most recent season. This will hopefully give you a better view of what our team looks like. Our team tent, we have some sponsors. There's our team practicing in the park over at Tapa Park. This is the start of a race down in Austin, Minnesota. The video will jump between many different locations. This video is also made by students, so it's kind of got their flavor on what the season looks like to them. You will see a lot of scenes from races. We do spaghetti feeds to invite camaraderie on our team. You will see a lot of races on here, but racing is definitely not the only thing we do. This is much more than just the bike. It's about the overall experience of our students. We like to think of this as a lifelong activity that students can do beyond age 18.
Yeah. All right, Spencer, way to go. Yeah, Darren, another boy. Thomas,
And if racing is not of interest to you, you can still join the team. You can still practice, but we'll definitely encourage our riders to try at least one race each season, so you get the feel for it. Quite often they find that they're actually very fun and sometimes get hooked and want to do more. This rider here, he crashed in a race. Crashing is not a big deal to us. It happens, we get up and we go on. Okay, we do a lot of cheering for our riders. We also cheer for other teams as well. It's a real tight community and it's a neat experience to be a part of.
all right, Aiden, nice job. Yep, finish up, buddy. That away, Will.
So all we really care is that our riders finish whatever they set out to do. A few of them will end up on the podium. They're finishing high,
There you go.
like this rider did here. It was a neat experience for him. Finishing on the podium is not one of our top priorities, but if riders are interested, we know how to coach to get them ready. There's my email if you ever want to contact me after this presentation. All right, back to our presentation here. Some of the things I'm going to cover for you in this presentation, we're going to go over our race schedule, information for parents, what equipment you'll need, information for athletes, how to register, and uniforms. Any other topics beyond this, you're welcome to email me and ask me more questions. A little history about the league that we're a part of. Okay, the Minnesota High School Cycling League started in 2012, and there was only 12 teams that team, about 120 athletes that year. The most recent season here is 2020 that we're going into. They're projecting 2,200 student athletes this coming year, and we're well over 60 teams. This picture is from 2015. There's our first year team right there, amongst many other teams at the season-ending awards up at Northrop Auditorium at the University of Minnesota. The league's big enough that they have to rent out the auditorium for their award ceremony. Okay, as far as a national organization, NICA, National Interscholastic Cycling Association, NICA, it's a cross-country mountain biking league. It's self-governed. It's not part of the Minnesota State High School League, where other sports here in Minnesota are self-funded. At this time, there's about 31 states that have leagues. There we are. It started out in California in 2009, and it's been working its way across the country ever since. NICA, the organization, the things that they care about, that they build their programs around, are inclusivity. All athletes are included. Nobody's on the bench in our sport. Equality, strong body, strong mind, and strong character. These are all their five key principles that they based their principles on. Our personal Shakopee team philosophy, our three goals that we have. Number one, we care that our riders have fun and are safe. Okay, if we're not doing those two things, the rest really doesn't matter. Okay, and we want to create lifelong athletes, a love for our sport, something they can do for the rest of their life. Okay, and if they have personal goals that they want to achieve, whether it's finishing on the podium, just finishing it all, or just getting better at their biking skills, we can support all of those interests. Okay, a timeline of events here for a typical year. In the spring, we just ask our riders to get out and ride on their own, get some fitness going, get their bikes tuned up, bikes cleaned, things working well, so you're ready for the season. Our first practice is usually the second week of July. Okay, and in the fall, our racing season actually starts in late August and finishes in late October, and then we have a team banquet in December. Okay, and our total season is from July through October. It's about a 4-month season. Some other preseason events to know about. Every year we have a bike demo day when Michael Cycles will come and set up their trailer full of bikes at our school and let people try them out right there on the spot. They can order bikes for a significant discount that day with them. Before the season starts, of course, get your bike cleaned and tuned up. Ride some easy miles. Okay, and we'll typically have a family orientation meeting right before the season gets going, June 25th. And we have a team trip to Cuyuna Recreation Area. It's up just east of Brainerd, near the Crosby and Ironton area. The Cuyuna Recreation Area has 20-some miles of single-track mountain biking trails, and we'll go camp there for a weekend in July as a team. Some info and some expectations for our athletes. Okay, we typically practice 3 days a week. Okay, these are not set in stone, but some rough locations. We typically practice at Murphy Hanrahan and Savage. That trail is by Prior Lake High School from 5 to 7 on Tuesdays. Thursdays we might practice at the River Bottoms in Shakopee and Bloomington, 4:30 to 6:30, and Saturday mornings we might be at Murphy again, but typically we practice at other trails around the metro area. Okay, and in case the trails are closed because it's rained recently, or it's storming, or the trails are wet and muddy, okay, quite often we'll practice in Shakopee and we'll stay on pavement. For this current season, let's see, it should be 2020, not 2019 here. Our current season, we will be going to 5 races, okay, even though there's 8 of them showing here. Our first race that we'll be going to as a Shakopee team will be in Rockford, Minnesota. It's called Lake Rebecca. We will not be going to Alexandria or over to Wisconsin. We'll be going in late September to Rochester. We're considering Detroit Mountain and Spirit Mountain right here. We'll be going to Mount Cato for 2 weekends in a row. Okay, we still have to work out which one of the 2 of these races we're going to, but we'll be doing 5 of those races this coming season, and this schedule changes from year to year depending on what year it is right now. Okay, as far as what do races look like, what is the format? The race courses are usually right around a 4-mile loop. Okay, and those loops are single track trail. As far as single track goes, if you're not familiar with that term, here's an example of it right under our rider here. It's single, meaning there's room for one rider to be on it. Okay, with some wider passing zones that come along where you can get around riders. Believe it or not, it is possible to pass in single track. You have to call it out, and sometimes you'll be riding over on the edge over here. Okay, but we typically ride mostly on single track in our races and a lot in our practices too. Some more information about a race weekend. If you're a 6th through 8th grader, you'll be doing one lap, so a 4-mile race. Once you get to high school, it's up to 2 laps for 9th grade and JV2 classes. The JV3 class is 3 laps. And finally, varsity is 4 laps in their race. Okay, some other information that our team uses. We use an app called TeamSnap. So if you're going to be joining the team, we'll ask you to download this onto your mobile device. And we do most of our communicating through TeamSnap. So we have a calendar that will remind you we have practice coming up or a race coming up. If I have to cancel practice because it's storming out, I'll use TeamSnap to let you know. So it's a really quick and effective and very user-friendly app for communicating to a large group of people. We do have a Facebook page that people will join called the Shakopee High School Mountain Bike Team. And we also use a free app called Strava for recording our bike rides when we're out and about. So let me show you those. I'm going to switch over to those things. So here is TeamSnap, okay, for our Shakopee team. Okay, here's our calendar. Typically you'll see it full of practice dates, races. So let me just jump a couple of months ahead. So for example, the first race, the Lake Rebecca race, there it is on the calendar. Middle school's on Saturday, high school's on Sunday. So once we get to the season, we'll have a lot more things going on. Our practices will be showing up here. We'll send messages to you. If we have to practice or cancel practice, we'll use our messaging system. There's a chat feature. There's availability. We'll ask that our parents go in and check the availability box so we can tell who's all coming to each practice, so we can be prepared. So you'd just simply go in, you would check the box saying, yep, I am going to this event right here, or no, I am not. All right, so those are things we'll ask people to do. That helps us to be prepared as coaches. The Strava app, that can be on your phone. You can record your rides. All right, so if I dive into my profile, okay, and I go and I record some rides. All right, my most recent ride this past weekend is over in Chaska. You can see it. I started the button at the beginning. I rode my ride. And it gives me all kinds of statistics about how I did, how long I rode for, mileage, elevation gain, and so on. Okay, and our team uses it. It's fun to kind of track how each other's doing. You can see who's been riding, and we can make it a social event. So we can see what each other's been doing here. So that's kind of fun. Okay, and we as coaches will have challenges that we'll have riders do, like most mileage in a week or most elevation gain, that kind of stuff. So we can see what everybody's doing. So that's Strava. Our Facebook page looks like this, Shakopee High School Mountain Bike Team. Feel free to request to join there. We'll approve you. Various discussions come up in here, sharing pictures, sharing video. Various things come up in there. So that's Facebook. Later on, we'll talk about signing up in Pit Zone. We'll send you a Pit Zone invitation. Okay, and I'll invite you to Pit Zone. This is where we handle all of our registrations. We'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, back to the presentation. Equipment. What equipment will you need? Obviously, you'll need a bike to do this. It must be a geared bike, not a single speed bike. Road, BMX, cyclocross, hybrids, smooth tires, any of those things are not what we're hoping for. We're looking for a bike that has thicker tires with knobby treads on them. They don't have to have suspension on them necessarily, but knobby tires are a must. It needs to be a true mountain bike. Please do not use like a Walmart, Target, or kind of a big box store bike. Those bikes tend to be a lot heavier, a little harder to maintain, and generally the fun factor will be a lot lower than on a bike that maybe you'd get from a bike shop. So please feel free to reach out and ask questions. You can send us links to ask us questions about, is this bike good enough, or if I buy this off Craigslist, will this be acceptable? Feel free to send us those questions. Of course, a bike helmet will be mandatory. We don't even put our legs over our bikes without a helmet on. That is required. It's helpful if you have a small seat bag that contains a spare tube, maybe a pump or a CO2 canister, a multi-tool. So if we have to fix any problems while we're on the trail, you've got the tools to do it. Of course, you'll need a water bottle holder, a Camelback, whatever, something to bring water with. And of course, you'll need a jersey to race. Okay, let's watch this Be Prepared video together. You'll figure out pretty quickly that it's meant to be a little bit silly.
Time for the most important meal of the day. A nice, healthy breakfast. Oh, it's looking a little dried out. Add some moisture to that. Tacky. Tools, Camelback, bars, water bottle, tubes. Man, people are so overhyped, this stuff's pointless. Oh, what's happening? No. Oh, no. Oh, man, I'm gonna be stuck out here. No. Tasty, organic. Oh, that looks delicious.
Dude, what are you doing? You can't eat that. What's up? You're tripping. Here.
Oh, thank you.
What's going on?
Oh, I've been out here for hours. I got a flat tire.
You have nothing?
No, how
You don't carry packs?
No, I got a shred. You can't have weight on you when you're shredding.
Tube for your flat.
A tube?
There's a pump.
Whoa, check that out. So you get air in your tires.
Get your tire off.
Oh, sweet.
Tool.
Whoa, what is this thing? It's got so many tools in it. Oh, awesome.
All right, let's get you fixed up so we can go on a ride.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Maybe packs aren't for goobers. Whoa, that's a deep thought.
All right, so there's your slow-mo bro video. Obviously, he does a lot of things that we would not do, including littering, doing wheelies on the trail, catching some air. A lot of things we would not do in that video. So we like to keep our tires down, try to ride safe, no extra risk above what we already do. All right, some information for parents and expectations. All right, safety, of course, is number one. Help us to ensure that our athletes come to practices and prepared. In other words, they've got their medications, inhalers. They should have already had a physical exam prior to participation, showing that they're ready. It's important that our riders arrive on time and actually even early, 10 minutes early to practice. Sometimes we take off right away at the beginning of practice and we're gone. And if you show up 5 to 10 minutes late, we just either might be gone or we can't go back for you to get you. Okay, so being on time and early is important to us. Okay, we will be practicing on warm days of the summer and after school. Definitely be hydrated. Have a light meal before you come to practice. An empty stomach and dehydration creates for a really, really difficult practice for our riders. So be prepared for what's to come. As far as transportation goes, we have no busing at all on our team. We drive everywhere we go. So we'll try to get you plugged in with other families as far as sharing rides and those kinds of things. But yeah, transporting you and your bikes to our practices and races will be pretty much on you to make happen. As far as our sponsors and fundraising, we'll definitely be asking for some help on that eventually. We are entirely self-funded. We do not get any funding from the district to support our club. We do have 2 paid coaches, myself and Coach Kyle. But as beyond that, there is no funding from the district. Okay, everything we get is because we've fundraised. As far as costs go to join our team, okay, it's $100 to join the actual league, and then beyond the league, it's $50 per race to participate. So there are 5 races we go to. If you do the Super Pass for $150, of course, you'll save about $100 instead of registering individually for each of the 5 races. So from $250 down to $150 for the Super Pass. And we have a $60 team fee just to help us offset some of the need to fundraise more than we have to. We still have to fundraise beyond this anyways, but we'll ask for a check for that. Okay, and so the the $100 NICA league fee and the $50 per race and Super Pass, those fees are paid in the NICA pit zone, which I'll have to send you an invitation to that. Okay, so there's some of our costs. Okay, you can look over some of these fees right here. Okay, that's everything I just described in the slide before. Okay, a little more detail right there. Later when we order our jerseys, currently this is what our jersey looks like this year. Okay, some key dates for you. A timeline of events here. Try to have your registration complete in pit zone prior to participation on July 1st. Get all this stuff done in pit zone for us. We can see it as coaches when you've got it done. And we can see it on our administrative end. Okay, our practice will be the 2nd week of July, right there. And of course, we'll be going till November 1st. Some other opportunities outside of our league. This is not associated with us at all, but people like to know this stuff. Every Thursday night at Buck Hill in Burnsville, there's a race during the summer months, so May through about August or so. So that's a good opportunity. And there's a whole nother race series outside of our NICA race series called the Minnesota Mountain Bike Series. You can go to that website right there, and there's a series of races around the state starting in May, and that wraps up in September. So a lot of our riders will go do that to get ready for our high school season. Okay, there are NICA discounts. If you look around on different bikes, you can go to this website to see what benefits are out there. I personally would recommend going to Paul's Bike Shop in Shakopee and Michael Cycles in Chaska and Prior Lake. They give discounts for members of our team, and they're very good to work with. I personally know the guys in Chaska because I live in Chaska, and you can ask for the manager, mention that you're on the Shakopee team, and see what discounts they can provide for you. Paul's and Shakopee, same thing. Great to work with. Super helpful. Helped us get started back in 2015. And finally, our last slides here, some contact info. And if you need to get a hold of me, the best way is on my school email. I work for Shakopee Schools. So joman@shakopee.k12.mn.us. Coach Kyle Sabota, he's my assistant coach. He works for the city of Shakopee down at City Hall. There's his personal email. The league director, Josh Cleve, that runs the entire program for the state of Minnesota. There's his web address, or his email address, and there's the web address for the league's webpage. So feel free to contact me with any questions. If you need a NICA Pit Zone invitation, email me and I'll send it back to your email. Okay, and that is the end of our presentation today. Feel free to email me with questions.